The glass in front of you is doing something strange. Almost nothing. You look through it. Light passes through it. The surface stays flat enough that you barely think about the material at all. And that is the achievement. Because humans did not begin with glass this controlled. For thousands of years, every step forward exposed another problem. The recipe could vary, the shape could go wrong, the surface could distort what you saw, and even glass that looked perfect could still contain flaws that mattered. So how did we get from making glass at all to making glass precise enough to disappear from our attention? That story is not really about inventing glass. It is about learning to control it. Glass itself was not a human invention. Natural glass existed before controlled human manufacture. The important change was learning to make the material deliberately and then learning to make that process repeatable. The first problem was the recipe. Glass is often reduced to a simple idea. Melt sand, let it cool, and you have glass. But real glass making was never that simple. The raw materials had to provide the right mix of ingredients, and small changes in that mix could change how the material behaved. In Bronze Age glassmaking, plant ash could supply important alkali ingredients. But plant ash is not a perfectly uniform industrial chemical. Raw materials can vary, and when the material going into the furnace varies, the result can vary too. That matters because a craft becomes much more useful when the maker can expect the material to behave in roughly the same way again. Before people could worry about optical perfection, microscopic impurities, or precision surfaces, they first had to gain control over something more basic, what was actually in the glass. In other words, before humans could perfect glass, they first had to make it predictable. Then came the next problem. You could make glass, but could you make it take the shape you wanted? Early hollow glass vessels could be produced with techniques such as core forming. The basic challenge was simple to understand and difficult to execute. A hollow object needs an inside as well as an outside, and the glass has to be built around a temporary core while the shape is formed. That gave glassmakers control over form, but it demanded work. Glassblowing changed the possibilities. Instead of laboriously building every hollow shape around a core, makers could use a bubble of hot glass itself as part of the shaping process. Hollow forms became much faster and more flexible to produce. That was a major increase in control. Glass could become bottles, vessels, containers, and a much wider range of shapes. But here is the strange part. Humans were getting better at making complicated shapes while still struggling with one that sounds almost embarrassingly simple. Flat. A flat sheet of glass sounds obvious, because today it is everywhere. Windows, screens, displays, surfaces we barely notice. But making a sheet is not the same as making a truly good flat surface. If the thickness changes across the glass, or if the two surfaces are not properly parallel, light does not travel through the sheet in exactly the same way everywhere. Look through it and the world on the other side can appear bent, stretched, or distorted. The glass exists, the sheet exists, it may even look flat at first glance. Optically, that is not enough. Older flat glass methods such as crown glass could produce sheets, but the surface and thickness were not automatically uniform. Plate glass production pushed flatness further, yet high-quality surfaces still required another difficult step: grinding and polishing. Think about what that means. You first make the glass, then you make the sheet. Then, after all of that, you still have to remove material and work the surface until it becomes flatter and smoother. It worked. It was also a reminder that a simple-looking problem can be brutally hard. The breakthrough came when the strategy changed. Instead of asking, how do we fix the surface after the glass is formed, the process could be designed so the glass formed flatter in the first place. In the float glass process, molten glass spreads across molten tin. Because the glass is supported by a liquid surface, it can form a continuous ribbon with level surfaces that are close to parallel. That changes the logic of production. The goal is no longer to create a rough sheet and then fight the geometry afterward. Flatness is built much more directly into the process itself. That is a different kind of technological progress. Instead of spending so much effort correcting a surface after formation, the process itself does more of the work. Not just better correction, better prevention. And for ordinary windows, that solves an enormous problem. But glass did not stop there, because the standard kept moving. Once flat glass became reliable, flat stopped being the finish line. Modern displays and optical applications can demand much tighter control over thickness, surface geometry, and defects. A variation that would have meant little in a crude vessel can matter much more when the glass is part of a precise system. The question changes. For most of glass-making history, the challenge was something like, can we make this material, shape it, and give it a useful surface? Now the challenge can be, can we make it precise? That shift is easy to miss, because the finished object may still look like a transparent sheet. A modern precision surface does not advertise how tightly its geometry has been controlled. It simply performs its job. That makes the engineering easy to overlook. But the level of control underneath that simplicity is much higher. A display does not need glass that is merely present. It needs glass whose thickness and surface are controlled closely enough for the rest of the system to work as intended. The better the glass becomes, the smaller the acceptable errors become. And eventually, the most important problems are not the ones you can easily see. That brings us to purity. A piece of glass can look perfectly clean to the human eye and still contain impurities that matter for performance. Optical fiber makes that brutally clear. The entire point is to guide light over distance. If impurities inside the glass cause too much attenuation, less light makes it through the journey. The material may look transparent. It may look flawless. But the light can tell the difference. That is a remarkable escalation. Early glassmakers had to gain control over the recipe because variable materials meant variable glass. Then people learned to control shape. Then surfaces. Then flatness and thickness. Then defects small enough that ordinary vision may not reveal them. And finally, purity itself becomes part of the engineering problem. The target keeps shrinking. At first, success means making glass. Later, success means making glass with the right shape. Then making it flat enough not to distort what you see. Then making it precise enough for displays and optics. Then making it pure enough that light can travel through it with very little loss. The history of glass is not one invention repeated over and over. It is a long increase in control. And that brings us back to the glass in front of you. What looked like a passive piece of material is actually the result of thousands of years of learning how to remove problems. Unpredictable composition, difficult shaping, uneven surfaces, variable thickness, visible defects, invisible impurities. Each generation of glassmaking pushed another limitation out of the way, and the result is a strange kind of success. The better the technology works, the less attention it demands. A good window does not ask you to admire its geometry. You look through it. A good display does not ask you to think about the precision of the sheet beneath the image. You watch the image. An optical system does not impress you by announcing every impurity it avoided. It works because those impurities are controlled. That is why modern glass can feel almost ordinary. Its complexity has been hidden by its success. For roughly 5,000 years, humans kept learning how to make glass interfere less with the job it was meant to do. And eventually, the material became so controlled that one of its greatest achievements was almost disappearing. Some technologies become remarkable because we notice them. Others become remarkable because eventually, we barely notice them at all.